Uh-huh.
That was water.
Yes, it was.
Welcome back.
And that was beer. Yes, dear?
I have a confession to make.
What's your confession?
I get this movie mixed up with Office Space.
You get Falling Down in Office Space mixed up?
A little bit.
Well, I guess I know what we're doing next week. We need to find someone who hasn't seen Office Space.
Well, I apparently can't remember which one's which.
Office Space has nudity in it.
But it's angry workplace stuff, right?
Yes.
It's the one with the stapler?
Spoilers!
Okay, that...
Because presumably whoever hasn't seen it will listen to this one?
This week?
I don't know.
Yeah. So, this was a little less comedy, and I own this movie, for heaven's sakes. Is a little less comedy and a little bit more domestic abuse.
Well, okay, so...
Wait, one question.
Answer.
At any point, are we supposed to feel sorry for him? It's like they hint at feeling sorry for him?
We'll get to that.
Oh, you have opinions.
I do have opinions. I had seen this movie before, when I was...
This is my DVD, right?
Yeah, this is your DVD.
Okay.
I think I'd seen this when I was about 18.
Okay, that's better than 8.
Yeah, well, because, no, I would have been 8 when this came out. Yeah. Seems legit. Anyway.
18.
You got this confused with...
No, you were gonna have a story.
When I was living in my parents' basement and being the kind of piece of shit that a suburban white male...
Living in their parents' basement?
Cishet in the burbs. Yeah. You know, the worst version of me.
Okay.
I saw this movie and I thought it was hilarious. Because finally there's someone standing up for what's right. By right, I mean right wing. Because, like, the casualness at which anyone in this movie uses a disparaging term.
And maybe I just remembered it that way because that's the way it should have been in his rampage. Was to kill the guy in the army surplus store while he was saying disparaging things to
the two apparently gay men.
Yes.
Although they were credited as gay men, so I think it's safe to assume that they were gay in the script.
Yeah.
So gay in universe.
And I guess in my brain, if he's doing vigilante stuff, that would have been the person I would have shot.
The shop owner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, of all of the people who died in this movie, or got shot in this movie, or he inflicted himself on in this movie, the one who I think would have deserved it...
Is the shop owner?
Is the shop owner, and he only died because he was potentially restraining Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
And has nothing to do with the fact that he's a piece of shit. With a basement full of Nazi.
Right. Was that a basement or like a side room?
I don't know.
Anyway.
Full of Nazi.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, everybody else was just an inconvenience. The Korean shop owner was an inconvenience. The dudes on the golf course, an inconvenience.
Well, it's like everyone he ran into was kind of an asshole a little bit.
Yes.
But like we stopped serving breakfast at 11:30 and it's like 11:36. Like, that's frustrating when you're hungry for breakfast at 11:36.
Yes, but now that one does it all day.
But you don't get to shoot up a store because you can't have it your way.
Yes.
I'm looking at you, Burger King.
Uh-huh.
And George Clinton. Whatever, I don't care. But like, okay, yeah, you're pissed off that like the bodega is selling single cans of Coke for 85 cents.
Now, in 1993...
Welcome to capitalism.
1993, that's a little excessive. For Minnesota.
For Minnesota, but for...
California.
Pasadena, California? Probably not.
Yeah. So So maybe that was normal. I don't know. I still think a can of soda over 50 cents is expensive.
I mean...
But I will pay $1.30 for a 20 ounce.
Right, yeah.
And not bat an eye.
I think, like, your standard fare soda can is, like, 75 cents now.
Yeah, that's what it is at work.
Which, like, okay, that still leaves you with a quarter. Like, 85, you're just putting the spurs to someone.
Yeah.
Like, that's...
Which was his whole point. He couldn't make a phone call.
Yeah. He couldn't make a harassing phone call to his ex-wife.
Yeah.
Which, like, I think she was the biggest victim here. Because, like, she's being constantly harassed by her ex-husband, and the cops are refusing to do very much. When the cops do show up, they just cast shade. They say all the things that cops shouldn't say to people.
Of all of the things in this movie, that is the truest representation of life.
And that's really unfortunate.
Yeah. And I think it's still the same. I mean, this is 25 years later?
Yes.
From when they shot it?
Yeah.
And that is still, I believe, the same. So.
Yeah, and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Well, and another thing that bothered me about this movie, which is going to be how I start every paragraph.
Question.
Answer.
Do you like this movie? We didn't actually address that part. I don't know if this is an enjoyable movie. It's a watchable movie, but I don't think it's an enjoyable movie.
Yeah, it's watchable. It's not enjoyable. I
don't know why I own it.
I used to like it. I used to think that it was a funny, dark comedy, and now it just makes me sad.
Yeah,
because like our dark comedies for awful people.
No, because there are dark comedies that are out there that don't make you an asshole.
Right.
Whereas this one kind of makes you an asshole if you're cheering for that guy.
Yeah.
This one actually says something about you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where I think, most dark comedies, are absurd enough that you can be like, I can laugh, but I don't agree.
So, like if Brazil were funnier.
I've only ever seen Brazil once.
I love Brazil.
Then that one day I started watching it and you were like, whoa.
Like, wait, why are you watching it?
Because I wanted to make sure it was the movie I thought I remembered it being. See, this seems to be a problem with me.
Well, wasn't that
because this is not Office Space.
Wasn't that also the day we were watching The Ref? Like, yeah, let's watch.
Yes.
It's Christmas movie time. The Ref, which is still hot shit. And I'm sorry, I'm never going to like it.
See, that's a dark comedy.
I think that's really more of a comedy. Maybe it's a dark comedy. I don't know.
Well, it's not like Goth, but get it.
Goth was not funny. Goth was an awful movie, and I'm surprised you've ever seen it.
No idea. I just meant Goth like black clothing.
Oh. Okay.
Did I just walk myself into a minefield?
No. So, back when I was living at home.
When you were the cis-het suburban douchebag living in your parents' basement.
I am few of those things today.
You're living with me, so there's a step up. You're still cis?
That's not relevant to the story.
You're less douchebag.
Less douchebaggy. The Hollywood Video that was like a 2-mile walk from my house.
Speaking of, we drank for the Blockbuster video.
Yeah, we did drink for the Blockbuster video.
So yes, back to video stores. There were such things.
They had like a $10 a month plan where you could just go in and get 3 movies at a time, and I would do that 5 times a week.
Holy shit.
Well, because, I deliver pizzas until 10 p.m., and then, watch movies until 2, and then go to bed.
2 hours. That's just one movie.
It's like two movies.
Oh, okay.
10 to 2 is 4 hours.
Shut up. Math is hard.
And then, wake up, watch the 3rd one, go to school for a few hours. Like, that was my everyday for months.
Post-high school?
Yeah. And it was like, it got to a point where, I don't care what's good. And I was like, Goth? This doesn't look good.
Would you just, like, go down the rows and just pick 3 off a shelf?
Kind of. Like, what's new release, or... I think the new releases didn't qualify for the MVP program or whatever.
Right, no, they usually don't.
I'm like, let's get something from Japan. Let's get...
This thing called Goth.
Let's get a classic. Let's get something else. And yeah, and one of the ones I picked was Goth, which was the worst made movie I've ever seen. It was so bad that it stuck with me.
Which means it somehow sometime needs to get on the list.
I don't think you can find it anymore. Now, there are some other gems from that time period that I remember fondly.
Alrighty.
Which means they haven't aged well, which is these 2 Japanese movies, Ichi the Killer and Shark Skin Man and Peach Hip Girl.
That sounds like a movie that they would have stolen scenes for Power Rangers.
Could have been.
Pow. Power Rangers.
And, and I... Back when I was also ripping DVDs a lot, I may have pirated those, so I might still have them.
So you don't have to hunt them down, is what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. Because otherwise it's like, you are interested in watching this movie again? It'll be $40 to buy this DVD, because there's no one who has it.
Ah.
Like, I hope you're really invested.
Yeah, I don't know why I own this movie. I must own this movie because I thought it was Office Space. I really...
Yeah, huge difference.
Yeah.
We'll get to that one, though.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we'll see how well that holds up. Because that's one that I remember, like, fondly as a, 6, 17, 18-year-old. Like, oh, man, this is hilarious.
As a 16, 17-year-old who's never lived in a cube farm.
Right? And then I've worked in the real world, like...
You've had a cube... Well, when have you ever worked in a cube farm?
I live in a cube now.
You don't spend 8 hours a day, every day, in a cube.
I think stories like that one, like that is a thing that anyone can identify with. And if you can't identify with that one, you just watch Waiting, which is Office Space, but at Applebee's.
Ugh.
Not specifically Applebee's.
Right, but the chain.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I really did not remember how creepy this movie was. And maybe it's just because it's been a really long time since I've seen it, and I'm a little bit more sensitive to the whole domestic abuse stalking thing.
Yeah.
Than I used to be before, certain parts of that actually happened to me.
Yeah.
And, so, yeah, it hits the sensitive notes. The more it happened, the more on edge I was getting as the movie was going along.
Oh, yeah.
And, so yeah, I probably, honestly, don't think I'll watch this movie ever again.
Like, I understand that.
I took it off the shelf because...
You thought it was Office Space.
I thought it was Office Space.
Yeah, I was really unimpressed with the way that a lot of the female characters were treated.
They were treated like women.
But, okay, so... Mom's crazy. Cop's wife is crazy.
Okay, so Mom raised that psychopath.
It's true.
So, I'll give that one a pass.
See, it doesn't take crazy women to raise psychopaths. I'm just gonna say that.
Okay.
Because I'm sure you've met, plenty of shitty men who had perfectly fine mothers.
Yes. However, there's a big section of this movie that I don't understand, and they could have done better.
Oh?
The retiring cop.
I think that was just a trope.
So much boot leather.
It was a trope. It was...
There's no reason...
We're gonna set up this joke because cops always die right before they retire.
Yeah, and I don't think that was necessary.
It really wasn't.
I think we very much could have done...
And that might...
The partners going to these different crimes, figuring out it's the same person.
Well, we saw the same kind of setup in Seven.
Yeah.
With Morgan Freeman's character's like, I'm done. Like, after this.
Yeah. oops, I answered the phone and now I gotta...
Yeah, they dragged me back in.
Where this guy was pursuing it because he didn't really want to leave. Right. And every conversation with his wife was unnecessary. Mm-hmm. And...
I mean, they treated her like she was crazy.
Well, they portrayed her as crazy.
Yeah.
It's not that they treated her... It's the interactions were not as if she were crazy. She was written that way.
Yeah.
In the same sense that the mother was written to be crazy.
Manic.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Well,
and they just fucking gaslit.
I think the point with her is they were trying, not so much crazy as they were trying to make her scared of her son. Because when they were in his room and she was telling about how sometimes at dinner he scares her to the point where she can't swallow her food. Mm-hmm. There would have been a way to do that and just say, you know, to have her confide that she doesn't know what's going on. She's terrified of her son, and so she's not going to ask.
Right.
And, you know, put her, instead of crazy, into the abused relative as well. Yeah. They just didn't do it very well. I think, thinking about it, that is probably what they were trying to do with her. But because it was a bunch of dudes writing it, they just couldn't figure it out. So,
I can see that.
Yeah. But the wife of the cop, unnecessary. Yeah. And...
Well, she's the one who was making him retire.
Yeah, and
he gets really short with her on the phone. And, I will be home when I'm done. And, just gets off the phone and smiles. You're kind of an asshole.
I think
is there anyone in this movie who wasn't an asshole?
I think that moment was supposed to be an aha moment. He was retiring for her. He was doing this for her. He didn't actually want to be... He had made all of these sacrifices for her, and it never was enough, and it was nag, 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 nag. And I think that was the moment. It was supposed to be an aha moment. He finally said something. He finally told her. Finally put his foot down. Finally, put her in her place.
Did what? Excuse me?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He'd been putting up with all of this and making all the sacrifices, and nothing was enough. And then finally, he hit his line. And he's like, "I'm working. I'm a cop." Mm-hmm. Except for there's only 15 minutes left of the movie when he does it.
Yeah.
And I think he's supposed to be the sympathetic one because he's leaving and he doesn't want to, and his daughter died. Mm-hmm. And therefore he can relate to the situation because there's a child involved. Yeah. But there are ways that could have been settled without the wife. Mm-hmm. Talk about, with his partner about, the daughter that he lost. Yeah. And then the two of them could have gone through and dealt with these calls. Mm-hmm. And it would have been a better movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't care for this one on a second viewing.
Yeah.
Also, kind of some racism going on.
Yeah. It was not subtle.
No, it wasn't. Especially with the surplus store owner.
Well, yeah, but that was his character. Whereas, that was his character and expected. Mm-hmm. The interaction with the Korean store owner was racism that didn't need to be there. Right. Where, not that...
There's a V in 5.
Right.
Whoa, buddy!
Yeah. I fought for your blah, blah, blah. Whereas... I think you have to take the surplus guy out of the equation because
his racism serves the story.
No, his racism was the purpose of the character. Right. Whereas it wasn't the purpose of the Michael Douglas character. It is Michael Douglas, right?
Yes, it's Michael Douglas.
I keep trying to call him Kurt Russell, which is a whole nother...
No, I watched a Kurt Russell movie today as well. At D&D.
Oh, yeah, you did. Maybe that's why it's on my brain. But if he's supposed to be the little guy,
Mm-hmm.
if Michael Douglas is supposed to be the little guy, then making fun of the Korean speech pattern isn't going to do you any favors.
Yeah.
The way he interacted... Okay, they were gangbangers, and I get it. Still a little bit unnecessary.
Still a little bit racist.
Racist, but also unnecessary.
Yeah.
In that... I think in that section... in that interaction when he first interacts with the gangbangers, and I understand it's to set it up so he can get the guns. Mm-hmm. But he was sitting there minding his own business.
Right.
And you're supposed to feel bad because he was just sitting there. The shot goes in, and I don't know if you were looking up at the time, of him looking through the hole in his shoe.
Yeah, I was paying attention.
And
I remember that from the first time.
Yeah, and so that's the moment when you're supposed to start to feel bad, and and then they have their little interaction, and then there's the retaliation, with the shooting,
yeah,
to set up so he can get guns and kill people and be a dick, showed I think the tendency is more of the writers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So.
Well, and one of the fun bits of trivia I read during this was that they were filming in Los Angeles during late April of 1992.
April 22nd? 1992?
Yeah, during the post Rodney King riots.
Yeah.
Like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
We're gonna stop filming today.
And for, the next week.
Yeah.
What did you think of the film they used, the stock, and the way they shot it?
It was film stock, and it was shot. I wasn't, impressed, but it wasn't... I didn't think, oh, this is terrible.
It wasn't something that stood out
right,
one way or the other. It was just a movie.
I thought, everything had a little bit of a... kind of an orange-yellow cast that it didn't necessarily need.
That could have just been the smog in LA.
That could have been the smog, but that... I've also heard that that's just how Kodak makes their film.
Okay.
Is a little bit on the yellow side.
Huh.
Okay, whatever. I mean...
Well, sometimes you have opinions on those things, so I asked.
Yeah, it was okay.
It wasn't...
It was a little grainy a couple times, but never, distractingly so.
This is also a not new DVD.
Yeah, that's true.
And it had the two options. One side is one thing and one side's the other, and I don't know the difference between the two, and one you're supposed to watch and one you're not supposed to watch, and I just watch whichever side's up. Literally, that's how I choose.
Why are we married?
Because you're the one who's in charge of putting things in the DVD player?
Apparently.
Well, you asked which one I wanted to watch.
This is true. I wanted to see if you were going to say full screen.
I would have said which one's up.
Anyway. Did two women have names and talk to each other?
No. Yes.
Whom?
The wife and the partner. She answered his phone.
I suppose.
And the wife said, "Who is this?"
Oh, right.
And then
I thought you were talking about the ex-wife.
No. Oh, yeah, well, cop.
Mm-hmm.
An ex-wife.
Yeah, the partner didn't talk to her.
No, the last...
Yeah.
The last cop who told her to vote for more patrols.
Yeah, oh, dismissive cops, you're not helping the community.
Nope.
Oh, dismissive cops, you are gaslighting and making her relive trauma.
Yep. It wasn't enough that the judge signed off on the restraining order. You have to ask for details.
Right. You have to question the judge's decision.
Because she's just a silly woman.
Right? I mean, that's true, though, right?
That's basically what we got out of this, is she was being silly, except for he was actually lethal.
Do you want to talk about Ant-Man?
No.